The house that waited, on the edge of a quiet village, stood an old wooden house. Everyone called it the waiting house. People said it had been empty for more than 50 years. No one wanted to live there because strange lights appeared in the windows every night, and most villagers believed the house was haunted. One autumn afternoon, a 17-year-old boy named Ethan arrived in the village to spend his vacation with his grandfather. Ethan loved mysteries more than anything. He enjoyed reading detective novels, solving puzzles, and exploring abandoned places. On his first evening, he noticed a lonely house standing on the hill. "Why does nobody live there?" Hamidi asked, and his grandfather looked at the house through the kitchen window. "Because everyone is afraid," he replied quietly. "Afraid of what?" "They say the house remembers." And Ethan laughed. Houses don't remember. His grandfather smiled but didn't answer. That night, Ethan couldn't stop thinking about the strange answer. The next morning, he packed a flashlight, a notebook, his camera, and a bottle of water. Before leaving, his grandfather said only one sentence: "If you hear someone calling your name inside the house, don't answer." Ethan thought it was another old village story. The walk to the hill took about 20 minutes. Tall grass covered the path, and the wind made strange sounds through the trees. When he reached the front door, he noticed something unusual. The door wasn't locked. It slowly opened with a loud creak. Dust covered everything inside. Old furniture stood exactly where it had been left decades earlier. A clock hung on the wall. It had stopped at exactly 4:17. Every calendar inside the house showed the same date, October 12th. No year. Ethan began taking photographs. As he walked into the living room, he noticed footprints in the dust, fresh footprints. Someone had been inside recently. He followed them upstairs. The footprints suddenly disappeared outside one bedroom. The room was empty except for an old rocking chair. It slowly moved by itself, back and forth, back and forth. There was no wind. Ethan checked every corner, nothing. He took another picture. When he looked at the camera screen, his heart nearly stopped. Someone was sitting in the chair, an old woman wearing white. He quickly looked back. The chair was empty. He looked at the camera again. The woman was gone. His hands started shaking. He told himself there had to be a logical explanation. Perhaps it was only a reflection. He continued exploring. At the end of the hallway, he found a locked door. Unlike the others, this one looked newer. Someone had replaced the lock. After several minutes, he managed to force it open. Inside was a small study. Hundreds of letters filled wooden shelves. Every letter had never been opened. Each envelope had a different name. Some names belonged to people still living in the village. Others belonged to people who had died years ago. On the desk lay a single notebook. Its cover read, "Few for whoever finds this." Ethan opened it. The first page said, "If you are reading this, you have already been chosen." He laughed nervously. The next pages described visitors who had entered the house over many years. Each description included exact details, their clothes, their conversations, even their thoughts. Then Ethan turned another page. His smile disappeared. The page described him. It mentioned his blue jacket, his flashlight, the camera hanging around his neck, even the notebook in his pocket. At the bottom of the page was one sentence: He will leave before sunset if he ignores the basement." Ethan slowly looked toward the floor. There was a small door hidden beneath an old rug. The basement. Someone knew he was here. Someone had written the notebook before he arrived. His curiosity became stronger than his fear. He opened the basement door. Cold air rushed upward. The wooden stairs creaked beneath his feet. His flashlight barely reached the bottom. The basement was much larger than he expected. Shelves lined every wall. On them stood hundreds of clocks. Every clock showed exactly the same time, 4:17. None of them moved. In the center of the room stood an enormous mirror. It was taller than any person. Its frame was covered with strange symbols. Ethan looked into the glass. His reflection smiled. He did not. He stepped backward. The reflection remained smiling. Then it raised its hand. Ethan's own hand stayed still. The reflection slowly whispered something. Although no sound came from the mirror, Ethan somehow understood the words. "You came back, Itai." Suddenly, every clock began ticking. Tick, tick, tick. The sound filled the basement. The mirror became dark. Instead of showing Ethan, it showed the house from outside. Someone was standing near the front door. It looked exactly like Ethan. The figure walked into the house while